Welcome all to the data entry class, and in this session we'll be taking you through the first process, which is coding a questionnaire into the software. So just an introduction, we define terminologies, and the first one we talk about variables, and we discussed variables as attributes of a population that a researcher is interested to understand. We also have cases, which is basically the feedback you're getting from your variables. And based on what I'm presenting, you can see the two interface, which is basically the variable view and data view. For variable view, this is the interface where you code the variables. And for data view, this is the interface where you will code the cases. So let me go straight to the questionnaire that we're having here. And like I said, for serial number and date of interview, these are information that we refer to them as metadata, and we are not going to code them into the software. So instead, we're going to start with the P1, which is, and to code your variable, there's two ways you can go about it. Either you use question numbers, or you can assign names to the variables. And in this case, I will be assigning names to my variable. So the first variable is gender. So I'll go to variable view, and the name, you can write there gender. The type of variable for I'll select numeric. The decimal you can adjust to 0, and if I'm to label it, I'll just label as respondent's gender. For values, I will now say let the value of 1 represent male. Then I add let the value of 2 represent female. Then I also add on measure. For this case, we will say nominal, as there is no statistical criteria to rank both male and female. The second variable is age, and I will write here age, which is the variable name. It's going to be numeric, decimal adjust to 0, and this time I will paste the entire question, which is now age in years. So in giving information, remember we talk about ensuring that there's a smooth transition between those who are in the field and the person who's going to do management. So it's good you label your work in a way that somebody can understand. So the first grouping, we have 1 to represent the age group 18 to 24. 2, I will use, now it's the second group, which is 25 years to 34. If you're wondering where I'm getting this information, you have a copy of the same questionnaire. So these details are here. As you can see the different groupings. So the third group, we have 35 years to 44. And then 45 to 54. The last group, you have to be careful because there's a difference between having a respondent who's above 55, and then there's also the option of 55 and above. So in this case, we need to accommodate also the person who's 55 years old. So we'll say 55 and above. For measure, again it will be ordinal. And for age, remember we don't have a specific maximum number for the same. Third variable is occupation, and by now you should be getting comfortable with this type of questions. And if you recall, we call them the single select, which means the respondent has only one option to choose from. So occupation, I'll just write occupation in terms of the label part. And then the groupings that are there, I would say let one represent self-employed. So it's employed, self-employed, and then so one is the person who is employed. Two is the person who is self-employed. Then three is a claimant. So if you recall, a claimant is the person who is now claiming, assuming now they're the beneficiary of NSSF. So it's also good you understand the context in which you're doing your okay. Let's go to relationship to contributor. It's more or less the same drill. So here, of course, it's still new. You stay to 0, and then you can write in full a relationship to contributor. In terms of the categories that are there, that's itself, and then family member and friend. So I'll say let one represent self, two family member, and then lastly I have friend. If you look at the next question, which is region, so I don't want to do region because it's more or less the same as what you've done, but instead I will go to the part of station. So we see how you handle open-ended question. So I'll write here station. It's going to be a string because this time the respondent is meant to record. Actually, it's not the respondent, but instead the research assistant is the one who is supposed to observe and record, and these instructions are here. So what are they going to record? They will write down that station, the name of the station. So it means we're dealing with alphabetic characters. And then for label, I'll just say NSSF branch or sub branch. So here I'll just say NSSF branch. I think that is enough, but now we're not going to assign values or whatever because we're a string variable. If you look at the second section,